Peoples of the world, welcome. Capital G, bringing you fun little list today. It's not a deck list this time. It is in fact 25 of my favorite lightning bolt targets in EDH. A lot of people dismiss lightning bolt as a card in our format, thinking that it is, you know, not enough. I'd argue against that logic, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But before we dive into the list, be sure to come look for me on Discord if you want to play some games of EDH. And I'm just doing my toes into PEDH as well, Hopper Commander. Also some misadventures on TikTok. Haven't been recording as much on there as of late, but you never know when I might have some inspiration. It's always a fun time there. And on the topic of fun times, I'm also going to be posting a link in this video for Asylum Gaming. If you've not heard of this channel, they do deck techs, spell table gameplay videos, and what have you. And I managed to join them for a video earlier today, in fact, as a recording. So we recorded our video today, Popper EDH. Only my second game, so I got to really see what Glass Dust Cult can do. So, yeah, that was a fun little experience. The nice thing about the Glass Dust, 4 points of toughness from the get-go, so this cannot be got by Lightning Bolt. But let us talk about the things that can, because, well, again, let's get back to why people think Lightning Bolt is just not good enough. And the fact of the matter is, in the old days when the Commander first started, we were playing a bigger, slower format where that 3 damage didn't mean anything, didn't kill anything, didn't stop planeswalkers, didn't break up combos, what have you. As time went on and the game got faster, Lightning Bolt has proven to be more and more essential. It can bust up combos, it can slow down one of our opponents, sometimes to the point of debilitation. So, I am a huge advocate for Lightning Bolt in our format. For the small handful of people who don't know it, it's on screen here. Of course, 1 red mana, deal 3 damage to any target. That is a creature, a player, or a planeswalker. I will not talk about a player or a planeswalker. You do not put Lightning Bolt for those specific purposes. Although if you do manage to finish off an opponent with Lightning Bolt, achievement unlocked. For planeswalkers, I'm not going to talk about planeswalkers on the list, but oftentimes they'll come down, they'll do their minus. Lightning Bolt is a good way to finish them off without having to worry about, getting an attacker through. Just Lightning Bolt is over and done with, and everyone can focus their attacks on, well, your opponents. Preferably not you, but preferably your opponents. So, Lightning Bolt's a good way to, again, shoot down any planeswalkers that have used the minus ability. But let's look at creatures. There are so many. I've picked 25 of them here. So let's see what I've picked out. These things can provide all sorts of value to our opponents, like a Biomaster's Familiar. I've seen this reduce the cost of some powerful activated abilities over the years. So being able to shoot him down before they can really take advantage of it is essential. How about an Alt Wincon and Biovisionary? It's cute when you see it once. Biovisionary is very difficult to pull off in Commander because you need to have 4 copies of a card named Biovisionary. That's a lot of cloning effects to make this work. The first time you see it, it's cute, it's amazing, it's cool. Once you get to like the 8th or 9th time you see it, it starts to get kind of old. That's where Lightning Bolt comes in. Somebody gets their 4th copy, zap, they're down to 3. What else have I been seeing lately? I've been seeing a lot more attack strategies, which is why being able to shoot down something like Blade Historian that grants my opponent's team double strike when they're attacking. I've gotten got by this card a couple times. I've gotten people with this a couple times. But thanks to the power of Lightning Bolt, I was able to save myself a couple of times from this card. In a similar fashion, the Champion of Lambholt. Oftentimes we just let this thing get way too big. The bigger this gets, the bigger the creatures our opponents control that can just walk right through us as if we didn't have any blockers. It doesn't matter if we have 1 or 30. They'll just walk right past us and smack us in the face. You see a Champion of Lambholt? Shoot it down right away with Lightning Bolt. Corpse Knight. The Orzhov aristocrat strategies. They love to be able to drain life from us whenever their creatures die, but they have to get creatures into play also. That's where Corpse Knight goes into their strategy. And that's why Lightning Bolt is good for ours. They get their Corpse Knight down, we can just shoot it right away, get it out of that battlefield faster than you can shake a stick. Dragonmaster Outcast. Yes, I have seen games where people put this out on turn 1. They make it to 6 lands and they start getting dragons. Don't ask me how this thing has such a high survival rate. Or a long survival rate, but I've seen it time and time again. So, Lightning Bolt? No, I am just not letting them have those dragons. Just never ever. Driftnaught, Carnage Dominus. One of the newer entries to the list. Hey, do we really want to give our opponent that double death trigger? Not really, but what we want to do specifically is wait for our opponent to, pay their Phyrexian mana, usually in the form of life, and exile the cards from their graveyard. And while this ability is on the stack, boom, Lightning Bolt. They've paid the cost. They've gotten nothing for it. Great way to use our Lightning Bolt. In a similar fashion, just going to fast forward over to Yargle. Doesn't have any way of protecting itself. But if somebody tries to swing at us with a Yargle and they're rocking a Tainted Strike, not going to happen on my watch. Just saying. Esper Sentinel. I've heard this called the Ristic Buddy. That's a pretty cool nickname for this card. But I don't want to let this live. 1 white for this 1/1. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless they pay X. X being the Esper Sentinel's power. Well, for 1 red mana, we can shoot this down. If we want to rub a little bit of extra salt, we pay the 1. And it's done and over with. And we don't get those cards for this ability. A sister, Soul Sister. Gonna shoot down Soul Sisters. So Essence Warden, of course, is the embodiment of all the Soul Sisters. So it doesn't matter which one it is. If it comes down on the cheap, if it grants our opponent's ability to gain life just by having creatures come onto the battlefield, take it down. For 1 mana, we prevent their life totals from going back up. So yes, definitely want to shoot down creatures like this at our earliest convenience. Same thing with mono white when we want to do some flicker shenanigans. So things like Flicker Wisp or any of the flicker cards that have, 3 toughness or less. The cat, unfortunately, the copycat is 4 toughness, so he's a little harder to deal with, unfortunately. But most others are usually in bolt range. Other things that white likes to do, they like to make it so that we can't untap our lands. Well, I don't know about you, I want to untap my lands, so I'm going to shoot this down every time I see it. Ink Phantom Infiltrator. This is a stand-in for pretty much any unblockable creature, some of which have impact, by the way. So, we definitely want to be able to shoot these guys down before they can become a problem. They can start off as a pest, they can become a real problem. Standing in for all the mana dorks. In Modern, we have the expression Bolt the Bird. Bolt the Bird means shoot down the birds of paradise or any 1-drop mana dork. Now, I may be showing a 3-drop mana dork here with Llanowar Tribe. But same thing stands. You see a mana dork. You don't have to shoot it down, but does it mess your opponent's tempo up big time if you do? Marionette Master. This thing has become a house recently, hasn't it? So many artifact synergies and so many ways to drain us out, especially if they're playing with treasures. So with Marionette Master, note the Fabricate 3, is a triggered ability. It says when this creature enters the battlefield, you can either put the 3+1/+1 counters on the Marionette Master or create some servos. No matter what they want to do, it is a triggered ability. While that ability is on the stack, throw a Lightning Bolt at this thing and get it off the table before it causes any more damage. Because it's going to cause a lot of damage. Master Transmuter. I'm surprised how rarely I've run into this card. We see it a little bit more often now because of the Brothers War precons. But this is a card I've been using for a very long time to great effect. Being able to cheat out the cost of very, very powerful artifacts for just a single blue. Fantastic stuff. So if somebody throws one of these down, do not let them untap with this. Just don't do it. You'll regret it. Speaking of creatures that you do not want to see make it to the untap step, the Auric Lore Mage. Entomb every turn? Like tap to entomb, tap to entomb. That is fantastic for black. They can throw in a super powerful creature that they can reanimate. They can throw in a Filth or one of the incarnations that grant their team abilities out of the graveyard. Don't let them try and take advantage of this repeatable tutor. Just shoot it down. Peregrine Drake, the subject of many, many combos over the years. If our opponents get into some sort of blinking loop with this thing, it's lights out for us. So if we see the Drake before those lands on tap, note that toughness. I see only 3 toughness there. Let's shoot it down before it becomes a problem. The Plague Crafter. Now this may seem like a bit of an odd pick. It says that when this enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player cannot discard a card. The idea with this is we want to shoot the Plague Crafter. Oftentimes someone who plays a Plague Crafter will sacrifice it. By shooting this down in response to the trigger, they have to sacrifice something else, likely something better. And that's if they have something else on the battlefield. If they don't, then they have to pitch a card. So, great way to kind of mess up our opponent a little bit with this card. Stetson Champion. If this comes down early, make sure to zap this before somebody throws down enchantment. Because if they make it to that 4th point of toughness, it might be lights out for our Lightning Bolt. But if we get there first, we take away a ton of card draw value. We take away a massive beater from our opponent for that 1 red mana. Tatsunari Toad Rider. I was playing a game. There's 3 of the 4 players were playing red. The 4th player was playing Tatsunari, and they were playing with an aura strategy. And yeah, every time the Tatsunari player wanted to play something to either protect their commander or protect Kemi, the frog token, just shot it right down. Saw 3 lightning bolts out that game. That's the Tatsunari player, who was very skeptical of lightning bolts in that game, by the way. I don't know if he's a believer or not, and he wasn't at the time. Might be now, just because of eating 3 lightning bolts on consecutive turns. That might be a little salty, to be honest with you. Might feel a little salty, but he might be a believer. The Witty Roastmaster. Coming in from New Capenna, wait for a red deck that, when they get a bunch of creatures, can deal out a bunch of damage. Well, we see the Witty Roastmaster. We're not going to let that stay on the battlefield now, are we? We're going to go ahead and zap that with that Lightning Bolt. Zada, Hedron Grinder. Whenever we cast an instant or a sorcery that only targets this, like if it was our own card, they can do some crazy stuff with this. So our goal is to make sure that our opponent does not get the chance to do that. If we see a Zada, we bolt it before our opponent can have a chance to do anything about it. A land that I want to talk about that we can bolt, Inkmoth Nexus. No, we can't bolt it until it becomes a creature, but once it does, all of a sudden our lightning bolt becomes land destruction. This is true for most of the man lands. I want to highlight Inkmoth Nexus specifically because we are in a poison era right now, so the perfect time to mention this. The last card, yes, it's the last alphabetically that I'm showing, but it's also my #1 target. Zulaport Cutthroat, or any of the Aristocrats cards, the ones that says whenever a creature dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life, or anything of that ilk. We see it, we zap it. Protects our life total, keeps our opponent's life total from getting out of our reach. It's just a good move, just a way to slow down that Orzhov player before they go nutso. So yes, we definitely want to be able to shoot down these guys. And on that, that is 25 commonly seen targets in Commander for Lightning Bolt. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I do have one honorable mention just for fun. That, of course, is Stormcrow. Because Stormcrow. It's one of the best cards in Magic. We all know it. We all love it. Zap it. Shoot it down with our lightning bolt. Yep. Anyways, I hope that was fun. Hope that was insightful. And on that, we will see you all again next time. Bye for now.